welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and if you are new here, hello, welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing. And if you are back, of course, welcome back. Today I am here with a check-in on my comparison project that I'm working on at the moment. I am working on two different versions of the same artwork from Jaded Gem Shop. Jaded Gem Shop recently started offering what they're calling pixel charted kits, which is what we have over here on the left. Pixel charting is when Jaded Gem Shop is going in and doing a lot of hand touch-ups, and someone's looking at the original artwork and translating it to diamond painting form in a really intentional fashion. It's very time consuming, and kits that are pixel charted are going to be a little bit more expensive because of that. And then that's what this one is that I'm working on. And then I'm also working on the classic or hybrid charted version, as Jaded Gem Shop calls it, of the same artwork, which is over here on the right. This is a piece that is, this rendering style is such that it's mostly computer charted, and there's some hand touch-ups that are done, or maybe some other kind of editing things that go into it, but it doesn't have the same level of hand charting that their pixel charted kits do. Now, I had purchased this, the classic or hybrid version, quite a while back over here on the right, and so I had gotten it in the smaller size, and so yes, you will see that there is a size difference, but I'm hoping that this comparison series is still going to be helpful, and I am feeling like even now with just a few rows done that in spite of the size, I think you can still tell that there are a lot of stylistic differences in the rendering styles. And I'm looking forward to diving into that a little bit more with you today. So when I did the unboxing of the pixel charted kit, I had asked you guys, if you wanted to see a comparison, and I was completely overwhelmed in a good way by the sheer number of you that were like, yes, 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 please do a comparison video. I've done a number of comparison videos and series here on my channel over the years, but it had been a little while since I'd done one, and let me tell you, I am loving I'm calling it being back to my roots of doing one. I know a lot of you found my channel through my Spirit of Flight comparison series, where I completed the artwork Spirit of Flight from Diamond Art Club and Diamond Painting Deutschland, and that was so much fun, and I feel like this is definitely a sister project. It's very similar in terms of the styles of the paintings and how they're looking compared to one another. And I think that I'm going to have a lot of the same sorts of observations. But if you want to go check out that playlist, if you haven't seen it before, it'll be linked below in the description box. I'll also have links to, both of these kits directly, as well as to my unboxings I've done of them. And I have a playlist for this series too. So how I've approached this particular comparison is knowing that these are two different sizes. I did know that I still wanted to be working on the same parts of the image at the same time. So I decided to divide each of the canvases into the same number of same number of rows. So these have each been divided into 7 rows in total, and I started at the bottom, and I've completed the first 3 rows. I typically start with this canvas and do a row on the classic or hybrid charted version, and then I do the same row over on the pixel charted version. My reason for doing that, if you are curious, is because I know that the hybrid charted version is going to have a lot more confetti, and it's going to take me more time. And I'm afraid that if I do the pixel charted version first and then do the hybrid charted version, that I'm going to feel extra fatigued, especially because I'm doing that same part of the image over again. And so it actually feels nice because I do the hybrid charted version first and do that row, and it goes, at a slow pace, and then I get to hop over to the pixel charted version, and even though it's a bigger size and therefore I'm placing more drills in that same exact row, I am still zipping through it a lot faster. So I am planning to do more of a direct comparison where I actually run a timer when I work on the same section of each artwork, and I can report back on just sort of the differences in how long each of these sections is taking me, while also taking into account that yes, they're different size sections, like centimeter by centimeter, but I still think that would be an interesting comparison to do. So I'm planning to do that in one of my upcoming progress check-ins and be able to share it with you guys. We'll get up close too. I want to compare some things side by side up close, but a really quick rundown, a recap of what the stats on these paintings are. So this one is 50 by 75 centimeters. This one is 60 by 90 centimeters. They both have square drills. But the pixel charted version came with some special drills charted in, and I got to place some of these in the first 3 rows, including a gold metallic drill in here, as well as a lot of, I think she calls them glimmer drills too, that have kind of that glittery, dusty coating on the top. So the hybrid charted version, though, I did not add on any special drills because it was at an extra cost, and I just typically don't add on the special drills myself. But the pixel charted version comes with them. I didn't have to pay extra. It was just part of what they charted in. There is a number of colors difference. So the hybrid charted version has 70 colors and the pixel charted version has 67, which I guess doesn't really surprise me, but they are pretty similar. So I don't know how, seriously you want to take that into account. So first glance, as I know you guys have been probably looking at the screen and have probably very clearly seen some of the differences and drawn some of your own conclusions already, but these look very different, right? So very, very obvious at first glance that the pixel charted version has a lot of, I feel like a lot of really sharp and clean lines to it, especially in areas like the tiles, this towel, I think that's a towel, things like the books, the cats, the scales on the mermaid's tail. There are just a number of areas that I feel like you can really see those differences, because over here there's a lot of confetti in the tiles. The towel is too, and kind of the lines down here. The cats, you could still definitely see the outlines of them, but their markings are a little more confetti heavy. So I think that you can see those differences. There are areas that I think, look similar in some ways. Like I think the slippers don't look too different from one another. The back scrubbing brush is pretty, kind of similar. Even like the bath mat isn't that different from each other. So, and even like, I think this picture, there's a couple of little confetti spots I might pull out of this one actually that I just wonder, I was like, I wonder if they meant to leave that there. It was something that, they didn't change and might have wanted to. So I might pull out some of these like orange spots. But, the original artwork. Let me show you guys that too. Here is the original artwork for reference. So you can see what each, what these are based off of. I guess this picture does have those kind of de-stressed looking spots on it. So maybe I'll leave those. But I think that this artwork actually is the kind of artwork, this artist in particular, Toshia San, I kind of think that her artwork lends itself to either style. In some ways, I feel like the hybrid charted version over here is closer to her original artwork. But in a lot of ways, I feel like the pixel charted version is a little bit more enjoyable to work on as a diamond painting for me personally. And there is like it is a different experience, like when you look at it and when you work on it, to see those clean lines and a lot of color blocking. And I don't think that there is like a definitive correct answer here. That's not my goal at all with this series. I'm not trying to say this rendering version or that rendering version is better or is the best and it's the one you should buy. My goal is purely to showcase both of these to you and, maybe do some up close comparisons so you can see if you're curious and talk through it so that you get to make a decision about what you prefer. What is the style that you gravitate towards and you enjoy working on as a diamond painting and seeing as a completed project. And that is going to be completely subjective. I need both of these rendering styles in my life, quite honestly. And, so that makes it really easy for me to try to be very neutral in this and just be like, I like them both. So what I'm gonna do now though is I would really love to bring you down closer and I'm gonna show you a couple of different parts of the canvas side by side up close, and you can really see the differences in the drill colors that are on the canvas and the charting. And I think that's gonna be actually really fascinating. So right back. So first, this is one of the things that caught my eye pretty quickly when I was working on this and stepped back to look at it. And that is this, I believe it is a towel that's hanging down. Now here's how it looks in the original artwork up close. You can see that towel. Maybe it's a robe. And then side by side, you can see here. Now keep in mind, I have a little bit of glare going on because it is daylight here, but so you might see like, it looks, almost makes this look a little bit more confetti heavy in a way. There you can still kind of see that difference. So it's interesting because the one on the left, this is the pixel charted version on the left, and I'm gonna try to keep it this way during this whole video. Pixel charted version is on the left, hybrid charted version is on the right. The pixel charted version still has confetti in it and has a lot of color changes in it, but it's less confetti heavy than the hybrid charted version. And this is one that I wonder how different this would be if this were the same size. There have been a couple instances where I've gone, yeah, it would be convenient if I were able to do a more direct comparison where they're both the exact same size. But I still think that there are very distinct differences between these that wouldn't change. Like for example, if you look up here in the tile, this is pure confetti up here in the tile, and they have smoothed that out quite a bit over here in the pixel charted version. But yeah, this towel I thought, like, I like personally, I do like that we have more defined lines over here on the left as opposed to over on the right. It's a lot softer, but I do think that both work when you're using that original artwork as a reference. There's less distinct differences between these piles of towels back here. You know, that's a little bit less obvious, but I just thought these towels, and even to an extent the bench that they're sitting on, you know, there is a definite difference there, as is there between the books. There's a lot of confetti in the hybrid charted version versus the pixel charted version. But let me move this over to a different section to show you, and we'll keep kind of seeing how these look different. Okay, so the next area I wanted to show you guys was actually the cats side by side, and this is really cute. Again, we have just a little bit of glare there. You can kind of see it without that glare on the drills. So I am actually kind of impressed at this pixel charted version and how they really made the markings really distinct, but still kept kind of the pattern of, I don't know if they're like tortoise shells or what exact kind of cat they are, but they're these really pretty and distinct markings. And over here, there's a lot more confetti to them, but it is still, you know, a softer look in a lot of ways that still suits that original artwork. I feel like the colors are a bit richer in the pixel charted version, but the hybrid charted version, you still get like glimpses of kind of those dark reds, some of the oranges in this cat, and you could still see, you know, the whiskers on this one, even at this size point, which is nice. I like that the ears are distinct though in the pixel charted version, and they've chosen to give it like a really deliberate outline too, to just really kind of make it really a distinct separation between that and the tub. So there's a little cat friends. I'm excited to get the rest of their, the one on the right's, you know, head done. But I thought this was an interesting point for comparison as well. Again, you can see just, it's a really different way to take on doing the colors that are in these cats in the original artwork. So I thought you guys would find that interesting as well. So this is like an area of the canvas that has a lot of things I think would be interesting to compare side by side. First, I was looking at the scales on the Mermaid's tail, and personal preference, I do like having some distinct scales over here in the pixel charted version on the left. I'm really curious to see if in the hybrid charted version on the right, if as we continue up the Mermaid's tail, if there is a little bit more of a distinct scale pattern, because right now this is kind of in shadow, and it's the kind of thing that may come together once we kind of pull back and are seeing more of it and seeing the rest of it too. As far as the slippers go, I'm fine with these in either version. I think that they work well in both, including the hybrid charted version. I think that overall this just has that softer effect, and you're gonna hear me saying that a lot. I'm sorry, but if I'm realizing, like, I think I said it like 10 times in this video. But you know, it's less of the crisp lines, but it's still very obviously the slippers, and has that different color shading. The bath mat isn't too dissimilar from each other either in a lot of ways. I don't mind that either. And then we have the Mermaid's tail, which has like the actual fins on it, and there's some really distinct differences here. Actually, I'm gonna pull this up and show you a little bit better part of it. Okay, so the fins, they both kind of serve well to look transparent, which I think is a really interesting effect that they've captured. And the one on the left, the pixel charted version, again, does have a really deliberate outline that's been done on the fins, and even some of the lines that are in the fin itself. Whereas the one on the right with the classic hybrid charted version, it's more of a like kind of soft and blurred line for that outline. It has a lot of different colors in it, whereas this outline is about all the same color. So that's just two different ways that that these renderings look at this part of the artwork with that fin. And I'm really curious to hear what your personal preferences are, as far as, you know, do you like the way that this one has more kind of color changes and it feels a little bit softer in its transparency? Or do you like that this one on the left is all one color and has a really intentional, you know, outline of the exact, you know, part of the fin itself? So one other spot I want to look at really quick, and I think that'll about do it. I know it looks like we're back to look at the cats again, but we're actually not. This is something really small, but it's a big difference between the two. So, and that's going to be the start of the gold on this tub and in this symbol. So this is like on the side of the bathtub. And so here it is over in the pixel charted version. Then here it is over in the hybrid charted version. What's special and different about the pixel charted version is that this is where we start to see, can you guys see the metallic? There's like a brownish gold metallic that's been charted in there. And as we get into the rest of like the bath fixtures and whatnot, we're gonna see a lot more of those metallic diamonds that have been placed. And so that makes this feel really special. I mean, you always have the option of adding enhancement drills yourself if you wanted to get gold metallic drills, or possibly if you did them as an add-on. I wonder if this is where they'd be charted. I don't know that, but you know, I like the charted special drills. I have to say, I do really like that. I like not having to think about it. That's a me thing. I like not having to figure out where to place specialty drills myself. And I'm excited to see where these specialty drills are placed. There's this kind of brownish metallic, and then there's a brighter gold metallic we're going to get to as we get into the bath fixtures. But yeah, over here, I feel like actually in some ways, if there were special drills that were added in, I almost wonder if they'd feel out of place against this overall style of how this image is turning out. But I don't know. I think you could try, but typically with Jaded Gem Shop's artwork and how they do their classic hybrid rendering, I don't tend to add special drills because I feel like it isn't always a fit for that personally. But I don't know. What do you guys think? The other special drill that I have gotten to use I've had a couple I've been able to use so far in the pixel charted version. There's a pink glimmer drill that's actually in the tile. Just to get up close, you can see that kind of glitter coating on the top. And then there's been a white, I think it's right here. Yeah, there's a white glimmer drill you can see in here. That's in a few areas, like it's on the bench, and it's in the head of this like scrub brush. It's in parts of the mermaid's tail fin here, and then this like splash of water. So I think that they've done a nice job of charting these special drills. I'm a little bit on the fence about the dark pink color in these tiles because there's some places I don't know that the color transition works, like down here. This is that glimmer drill, and then the rest of these are regular, and it feels like kind of a harsh color transition, but I've already talked to Jaded Gem Shop about that, and I know that this is just kind of a pitfall of rendering software is it doesn't always, it's hard to get it to display exactly what the actual look of special drills are going to be, and to know that it's going to have a certain like color look and how it's going to blend. So I take it with a grain of salt, and I still think that aside from a couple of spots like on the edges here, I think it still looks good. And I don't really have any complaints about that. So let me bring you back out. We're gonna wrap things up and kind of debrief. Okay, so what do you guys think? This has been fascinating to me, and I've really enjoyed just sort of as I complete each row, looking at these side by side, because I have taken pictures of my progression. When I completed the first row, I took pictures on the side by side, second row, and then now third row. And I am so incredibly excited to hear what your thoughts are on this. As far as what's coming up next, I know many of you may be really looking forward to me working on the next row that has, all of the, fixtures like in the bath, and particularly the mermaid's face. And I hate to say it, and if you watch my Spirit of Flight playlist, you might possibly remember this, but I have decided to save that row for last. So I am now going to be hopping up to the top of the canvas and working from the top down to the middle. So there's 4 more rows to go. We're not quite halfway done. I'm going to hop up to the top and do those 3 rows, and then I will probably do another check-in video and then do the last row, because I think that's going to give us a lot to talk about before we, and then we'll be doing kind of a comparison of the whole thing. Each of these totally completed, and we'll really be able to dig into how these really do look with all drills down. But I have some ideas for things I want to incorporate into comparing between these two. Like I said, maybe running a timer, because this is a very, very rough estimate, and I'm curious to see how close I am. But I feel like the amount of time it takes me to complete a section in the hybrid charted version, which is going to be more confetti heavy, and which is more color changes in a small area, but it's going to have a fewer number of drills than the same section, the same part of the image in the pixel charted version. I feel like the hybrid charted version is taking me like 3 to 4 times as long to complete as the pixel charted version. So I'm going to try to run a little experiment and hopefully maybe be able to report back in my next progress check-in. And I have some other ideas for maybe things I could try with comparing, but I would also be completely open to, if there are specific things you would like to see, I'm more than happy to try to incorporate that if I can. So I'm not going to be probably working on this much for the next few days because I'm about to be out of town, but I am looking forward to getting back to this soon. I am about to also be kicking off Summer with the Masters, and which is an event that I co-host through June and July, but I'm going to plan to be working on this project concurrently with those event projects. So it just might take me a little while. Like maybe I'd love for this to be done by the end of June, but we're just going to play it by ear, and I'll continue to post some progress pictures over on my Instagram if you're interested. And that way you can kind of follow along the way while you're waiting for video updates too. But you guys, I hope that this was helpful so far and you had fun checking in on how this is coming together. I had a lot of fun sharing it with you, and I'm excited to hop up to that top row where I think there might be even more color blocking, maybe even a little bit of color blocking in the hybrid charted version. And we'll see kind of those curtains and the windows come together. I know there's a lot of special drills in the windows of the pixel charted version, so I'm excited to see that. And before we know it, we'll be on this last row with the mermaid's face and our little cat friend and the rest of her tail and all the fun bath bottles and stuff that she has on the shelf next to her. So you guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to make sure that you don't miss further project updates on this, as well as my other diamond painting videos. I'd love to have you here as part of my community, and I hope you have a day and a week that's as amazing as you are. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.